Alright, I recently finished my build guide for 3.26, which is what I will be playing in Ruthless Softcore Trade. Very excited about that. That's my Sword Storm Gladiator. Link's going to be in the description below if you want to check that out if you haven't yet. But I understand that build is not going to be for everyone. It is a retaliation build, regardless of all the quality of life I've tried to put into it to make it as smooth as possible. It is fundamentally that kind of build that turns some people away. And it's also a Ruthless trade build, so a lot of the gear and stuff is built around the idea of being able to be in a trade economy. It's not necessarily as SSF friendly as some of my other starters have been, particularly because you have to farm like a heist weapon, which some people may not want to do. Expert retaliation support has a really massive impact as well. So I thought instead of just posting that one guide, I'd have a quick look through the successful SSF Ruthless starters for 3.25 with the changes coming in 3.26 in mind. Just have a quick look at 10 starters that people have tried and tested that have been proven as effective in an SSF environment. And yeah, hopefully that gives some people some other ideas for what to league start in Ruthless if you're stuck. Generally, as a general rule, it's a good idea if you're stuck. All I'm going to be doing here is really going to Poe Ninja and talking about, based on, I've limited experience in a lot of archetypes. I play a lot of melee builds and not much else. So I will be talking as much as my experience allows about these things. But it's always good to just go to Poe Ninja yourself, go to builds, click a SSF League, use the time machine feature. Very, very, very useful. You don't want to be looking at the latest snapshot, because then you're just going to see like, oh look, you know, you see the late end game gear that people have been able to get in SSF Ruthless, which is always going to be like a lot of stuff if people are willing to play for long. Like this guy's been doing Uber's Burden of Shadows. Jesus. It's good to look at things like week 1, because that gives you a good picture of what people can take into maps that they find effective and successful, as opposed to what people end up, you know, making as a second or third build potentially. You can tell as well if something's a second or third build if you go all the way to you click on something and then you go all the way to make sure there's a day 1 version, and then you know. So yeah, we're just going to look through these. You should go yourself as well. You should check out the list of what people have been finding success with. Notice if there's any trends like uniques and stuff that they've ended up finding and using, and how much you might have to lean on those or not lean on, you know, if those are actually important to the build or not, kind of thing. First up we have Guardian, tried and tested, unnerfed, untouched by the patch notes as far as we can tell. There are some new toys potentially coming for it as well. We got teased the Quiver mod that can come on Mercenaries, where summon Mirage Archers can use your gloves, which might have some very interesting things we can do with that. But otherwise, this is such a tried and tested build. You'll notice if we go on the main page, that it's the most popular 5-link that people have been able to put together, which isn't even like the best. Not everyone has a 5-link at week 1 in Ruthless Softcore, but if you see, I just search for mirror, it accounts for 4% of all builds, and there is quite a lot of Guardian's one of the most top played ascendancies for that, for a reason. Most people will play this on Guardian just for the very strong bonuses you get from Radiant Crusade, and you get Wavering Crusade, you get the relics, you get the Guardian. It's nice and tanky, it's in a good spot on the tree, not necessarily for bow skills. So you see here we're gonna go weed, and as far as I'm aware, one of the first things you want to rush on this is this increased cooldown recovery rate mastery. Some Mama expert can correct me if that's wrong, but that's what I've heard. You really want to get this ASAP if you want to play Mirror Arrow. Blink Arrow is not in Ruthless, so we're going to be using trans versions of Mirror Arrow. Use Bombarding clones or use Prismatic clones, and you see you can just get these on 2 4-links, and then you have an absolute arsenal. Mirror Arrow clones are really good as minions. They're kind of like totems in the way that you just summon them in a place and they shoot stuff for you, but they have really nice range and really nice targeting, so if anything gets near you at all, they're just going to absolutely really, really nice. And Guardian, because they're trans gems, you don't have to like mule your main gem with another class. You farm this in lab. You will be in lab quite a bit. If you don't like lab, you might want to consider not playing this in SSF, because you need not 1 but 2 green lab gems. But you see, other than that, there's just a lot of like quest reward stuff. This build just puts itself together very easily. Up to level 90 here on week 1 is very impressive. We got some ghastly eye jewels for some extra minion stuff here, but that's like, you don't even need these are bonuses, these are luxuries. And we got loads of suppression on the tree, which is really nice to see. So very tanky versus when you push into deeper into the late game, when you're getting into like tougher bosses and stuff, you're going to be able to survive some hits, and you're also a minion build, so you're not even going to be having to worry about managing attacking versus not dying like builds that are self-cast or attack based. Lots of skill effect duration. Trees like this, you pretty much always see something like this, and you can just borrow, take any good blink arrow guide, blink arrow, mirror arrow minion build guide from regular PoE. It's going to have a pretty similar tree as far as I'm concerned. Minion crit multi there. We got mana reservation efficiency. Guardian was one of the winners in the patch notes because they it's radiant, is it? No, I think it's unwavering faith. Maybe we might not take, I think it's unwavering faith. Yeah, I think this is the one that got the reservation efficiency. I should have double checked this before I started recording this video. So we might not go up here since we're taking, but yeah, time of need's very nice. Bastion of Hope, but there is another option there if you want to get more reservation efficiency. Obviously it depends on how many auras you can find, because if you're playing SSF, that's going to be a limited quantity. Very good as well to keep this in mind if you're doing lab for another build and you get one of the mirror arrow gems. Worth just taking it and stashing it in case, especially if you get both. Let's say you're trying to find a different green trans gem, you get both mirror arrow ones. You should just re-roll, man. Unless you really don't want to play minion builds. But yeah, the tree put this up together very nicely. You get a lot of extra max res. This pathing doesn't even, like, even though you're going across the whole middle of the tree, it's pretty nice pathing because you go through Constitution, taking the skill duration here, more life here, evasion, suppression. So this is all like, you got life suppression, duration, going into here, pass by a couple of jewel sockets, which is really nice for playing minions as well. Bow stuff down here, live here, suppression. It's basically life, suppression, bow, and minion stuff. It's not... It puts itself together really easily. With this kind of build, you don't have to do any rocket science about like how you're managing your investments. Even on 1 links, these skills are gonna pop off, and then this guy's got just on 2 4 links. There's a lot of different support gems. They can use minion support gems. They can use elemental damage with attacks. They can use added damage. They can do a lot. Actually, this is a free link because there's a lightning golem here. And you can have one of them can have culling strike, and you know, it's really good. In terms of playing, if you really don't like playing minion on total builds, I'd still give this one a go just so you can feel how strong it is in Ruthless, because they have not nerfed it at all. Yeah, top tier option. This list isn't in order, by the way. I'm not like saying this is the best option because it's first, but it is a top tier option. It's one of the best starters you can go if you don't know what you're doing and you don't hate the idea of Mirage Archers. Play Mama. Up next we have Berserker Slams. Berserker was a big winner in the 3.26 update for Ruthless. Thankfully we got the new nodes. There's always a chance that we don't, as we've seen from, I think it's Elementalist, Shaper of Winter. We don't have the new version of that in any form, which sucks. Elementalist, we're not going to talk about Elementalist. I feel bad for everyone who's getting excited about golems. Yeah, but Berserker was a big winner. Berserker used to be in a dodgy place in Ruthless because you had this whole crit angle here, which no one really wanted to use because it sucked. Defy Pain sucked because you would hit yourself with it and it could kill you just as likely, more likely probably, than it would keep you alive. Instant Leech isn't that important. We don't attack that fast in Ruthless, even with like an optimal build with rage stacking and everything. And also Aspect of Carnage, they nerf the amount of more damage it gives, but you take the same amount of increased damage, which is like 10% less EHP. Usually when you invest in your Ascendancy in Ruthless, you really want to get more defenses wherever possible, not strip them away. So this is pretty rough to take unless you're doing some kind of balls to the wall, kill or be killed kind of strategy, but that's not usually what you want to be pushing levels within Ruthless, you're going to cap out sooner because it's just not viable to stay alive in higher tier juiced content where you're trying to optimize your experience. Berserker got a big buff. This is unchanged, we probably still don't take this, but Defy Pain now gives you the effect of Defiance of Destiny, scaling up as you get more stacks. So it starts with 3% life. When you're missing life, you regain before you get hit, and that goes up to 30% and then like resets, and it's going to ping pong constantly. Really, really good effect, much better. And we got the full effect of that they're getting in Bench League. So basically, with that in mind, you can get the double exert, rage nodes, and Slam Berserker is now in a really good place. Everyone's talking about Volcanic Fissure of Snaking. Definitely, I played that on Chieftain, also viable still on the Chieftain, but on Berserker even more so now. The double exerts is so nice. A bit piano-y before you get auto exertion, so if you don't like having to press a bunch of buttons before you slam, just bear that in mind. Obviously in SSF it might be a while before you see auto exertion, so this might be the kind of build you re-roll into once you find that gem, if you don't want a piano. But if you're fine doing a quick bit of pianoing, you can get some Warcry speed. It's not that bad. You just, it's like doing your flasks, and then they last like 12 hits most of the time, aside from like Intimidating Cry, which has less. But yeah, I'm saying Slam Berserker here. There's not one slam that's like best. You can play Earth Shatter, you can play Sunder, you can play Volcanic Fissure. If you're really weird, you could play Perforate. I wouldn't, but it's there. It's an option. Sunder, there is a new like kind of transfigured, it's like the Trafen version, the mercenary version of Sunder, which has like a Volcanic Fissure of Snaking like effect where it can ping pong between enemies. Definitely worth looking out for. With this archetype, has a bit less damage effectiveness, but has a pretty cool effect. So that might be quite cool to invest in. Volcanic Fissure Snaking is just amazing. You will have to focus more on fire damage, obviously, with that than physical damage. So this is a Sunder tree, so don't necessarily borrow this entirely. But this kind of shell, this is what we take here, is what we take on a lot of these Marauder melee builds. Big life up here. There's nice res here. You take a lot of you occupy a lot of this area here. When you league start, you want to beeline to resolute techniques. You either go up here, you can go up here, take deep breaths, and then go meow, or you can go like down here. There's Measured Fury here. There's also like Lust for Carnage and stuff, which is like not bad. Got Soul of Steel down here, life down here, armor, life. You've got. So I'm not going to stop on these nodes so you can read what they do that much, because it's more just like I'm just like hovering. I'm not meaning to like actually say what they do, but like just like what's around here kind of thing. I could slow down a bit though, but I got a lot to get through. Two-hand is generally primo for slams, just because you want to align with those exerted attacks. So a lot of time we're going to take Wrecking Ball. Most people would take this. This guy takes this. You know, your mileage may vary. Unwavering Stances here, very nice, very primo. Damage, life, damage. You're starting to take these axe nodes here at this point as well. Axes generally desirable for slams over anything else. The axe masteries are very nice. You get where's his axe masteries? This man doesn't have any axe masteries yet. What is he doing? Yeah, you can get rage on hit from axes, which is really nice. You can get that right after Resolute Technique. You can just like pick this up quickly, get rage on hit. You can also get rage on hit here quickly, even quicker technically. So yeah, you can just take that here. If you're going Resolute Technique. There's also the thing about league starting a Marauder. You want to make a Duelist Mule every time to get Blood and Sand if you're playing slams, because Blood and Sand gives you more area damage, and also gives you Blood Stance, Sand Stance to swap between if you just want more area effects and stuff, because you can get a mastery to increase that further or increase the damage. That's an axe mastery as well. It's a really nice axe mastery. This guy's also playing blood magic. Very, very viable option early when you don't have auras early on in both Ruthless modes, SSF and Trade. Taking blood magic, just getting more life, and then as long as you can sustain the cost of stuff, yeah, we just don't use auras. We don't have any, aside from like vitality maybe. And you see here again, we just got falling. Overexertion is the big thing here. This is the best support. This is the equivalent damage you get from this support for slams is like the equivalent of measured expert retaliation for a retaliate build like the one I'm playing. It's the one you want to look out for. That's another reason if you drop that to look towards this kind of build. You're going to have a very good time with slams. If you just like literally on a 2-link, this and this will get you probably into like yellow maps like super comfortably with the damage that Berserker is going to do as well. And you get a lot of speed as well. It's nice to get the attack speed from Rage and that increased Rage effect. You got Berserk as well on top there. We are seeing Blood and Stand here come out as well, so he's got that, but he's actually using that with blood magic, so he's reserving a little bit of this life, which is worth it, because for 10% of his life, he's getting 14% more damage from that as well. So yeah, Berserker slams, highly recommended. In addition to Berserker slams at number 3, I'm going to recommend Juggernaut slams. Juggernaut has fallen out a bit more out of favor because of the buffs to Berserker, but if you're looking for a build that's much more focused on just not dying, you can look no further. In terms of like melee slam archetypes, Juggernaut's still got it. Juggernaut is still primo option for Ruthless starters, especially in SSF again, where it can be harder to get your defenses up without access to trade and auras and buying gear off people. Getting those innate defenses from your ascendancy is going to make you feel a lot more comfortable. Even if your damage feels lower, things might take a bit longer to kill than the Berserker. You might move a bit slow, you might attack a bit slow, but you're not dying as much as the Berserker might be in an SSF environment if you're trying to push harder content faster. Zat is he does stream. He streamed last League Start, hasn't been streaming much since, but I recommend. I put a link in the description. It's Zat1, not spelt like that, but like it's this, yeah, Zat1. He streams, very good stream to check out if you want to get better at playing SSF Ruthless. He was the top of the ladder on week 1. I think he stayed there for quite a bit. Okay, he didn't, but yeah, it was for a couple of weeks. He pushed to 93 first, then decided to get overtaken. Look, by more Juggernauts. So this should tell you everything you need to know about starting. Like the coziest start is, you know, Juggernauts. Juggernauts, you have 2 options with Juggernaut. You can get a bit more damage by going unstoppable, take precise technique, and then keep your accuracy up. Definitely an option, because Juggernaut can afford to be a bit lower life to make that accuracy requirement a bit easier, just because you can get defenses elsewhere, but you can also go all in on the defenses. You take Resolute technique, and then you're getting unstoppable, you can get unbreakable. Untiring is an option if you're playing Bone Shatter, but then again, Bone Shatter's kind of fallen a bit out of favor compared to other options. Still a good option. I'm not going to put it on this list at the moment. Don't see as many people playing it anymore. It can be a bit harder to scale and annoying to scale when you get to the point where you're hitting yourself too hard, and in an SSF environment, if you over level the gem and you haven't been getting your defenses up, you can end up in a bit of a spot with that. But yeah, you know, it's interesting to see him using one-handed here. I think it's just because he dropped a very good axe, that's why he recombinated it. Funny enough, this axe has crazy like crit chance and crit multi as well. Like obviously he's going Resolute technique, he's not scaling that, but man, that is a really good axe, and that's the reason why he's one-handed here. I think later on we see him, yeah, he swaps to a strong two-hander, which is generally what you go for when you're playing slams, as I said before, with a Berserker. But obviously if you drop a really good one-hander, don't just vendor it and be like, oh, I'm not playing one-handers. Work with it, you know, strategize. Got a nice solid 5-link here, a bit of chaos res on that's juicy. Shame about the really little life mod there, because he could use the mastery otherwise. But yeah, this is the kind of chest you want with good armor, because you get that double body armor. And he's getting all the endurance charge stuff. This guy has 6 endurance charges, so again he's getting massive damage reduction for that, and he's getting fortify. Where's his fortify? He got fortify support on here, so he dropped fortify support, so he's not taking it on the tree, so he's using that. Fist of War, overexertion again, seeing that come out again with the war cries, massive damage, melee Phys. He does have auto exertion, which is really cool. So he's got Battle Mage's Cry and Combust here. Battle Mage's Cry linked to vulnerability, so that's going to make things 10 times smoother. That's a really nice combo to look out for putting together. If you're playing SSF again, you're going to have to potentially mule these gems. It's going to take a bit longer. But especially once you get that auto exertion support, this is entirely automated. There's 2 war cries there, so that's reserving a bit of his life. He's not using blood magic. You can't really use auto exertion and blood magic, so once you get that, you don't really have that as an option. But he is investing in this war cry, he's buff effect and escalation, because he's still taking seismic cry and enduring cry, and all 3 of these are non-auto exerted. They're manual cast, so he is pianoing a bit, but it's only 3 cries. And again, as I said, like it's when you have like when you're taking Admonisher, but you got the war cry speed, it's really easy to just like piano those really quickly every now and then. You're not like thinking about it. You're not like, oh, I need to use this one, that one. It's not like you're playing Final Fantasy 14. You have a fucking rotation. You just slam them out. Frost Bomb is on here as well for a bit of reduced life regeneration rate. Always a good tech, especially if you're pushing tier 16s faster and you're trying to push Maven faster. If you're really getting into it, you've got your 2 stones, you're doing more Maven witnesses. You want that reduced life regeneration rate to come out to counter the healing. You dropped haste as well, which is huge. I think this is one of the reasons why we see him going for this setup potentially here as well with the 2 exerts, because he could automate more of these. Obviously you don't want to automate Enduring Cry if you want the charges from it, and Seismic Cry is giving him more armor from the buff as well, which is really nice to self-cast. Intimidating Cry is generally the one that you will automate more often. The movement speed is nice as a buff, but it's really nice to have that just automatic rather than having to self-cast it every time. But yeah, because he's got haste, we're only going for 2 here. But yeah, very nice, very good 5 link in week 1 here. Clearly this is, while this is week 1, like some of these builds are going to be the consequence of someone playing like, could be 5 hours a day. Some of it's, for some people it's like 10 hours a day. So the amount of days someone's played isn't necessarily like a strict measure of how far they were into the build. But you can look, he has VODs on his channel if you want to look at how he league started. Like the VODs from 10 months ago are still up, so you can watch that. Again, I recommend his channel. If he's streaming again, follow him and see, you know, have that in the background. You'll learn stuff just by having, it's like osmosis, just by watch good Ruthless players. I would, if I'm going to stream a bit probably. If he's streaming, I'd watch him over me. That's all I'm saying, because he knows what he's doing a lot more than I do. But yeah, Juggernaut slams, again, a good angle. Basically the alternative to Berserker. Chieftain, again, I'm not going to talk about Chieftain at length, but Chieftain's there as well. What Chieftain doesn't get in terms of like the endurance charges and armor, it gets in easy gearing and res and max res and stuff, and it has the infinite power war cries. Basically all 3 flavors of Marauder now are good for something, and you pick your flavor and you pick your slams and you have fun. Next up at number 4 we have the Bleed Gladiator. Absolute Giga Chad build that has also survived any nerfs from going into 3.26. You'll see there's a Earthquake Bleed guide, I think, out by Zizaran, so everyone's still hyped about it in Trade League as well. And in Ruthless, Gladiator is still overperforming as an Ascendancy. Whoever is doing the Ruthless balancing needs to have a look at this and think about, like, is this ethical? Gladiator gets far too much defensively. That's why I'm playing it as well in Ruthless still for the point-by-point investment. Determined Survivor, whichever bonus you get from this is huge. The 50% chance to block is basically like, it doubles your base block. It doesn't require you to add chance to block on your shield, which is massive. It makes it a lot easier to get a lot more res or life or even spell block or other things on your shield. The dual wield bonus is also amazing as well if you're going for that archetype instead. And then you get the lucky block. This is bug fixed, so technically nerfed. I've got to say though, I've been testing in standard. This is before the patches drop. They haven't fixed this yet technically. I don't feel like this is broken to me. I feel like when I have lucky block active, like I know I've blocked in the last 4 seconds, I'm not taking like, I think like if it's broken the way they're describing it, would be like I should only be taking like 2 or 3% of hits rather than like 10%. I really don't feel, I was doing simulacrums and like definitely taking enough hits to justify like this is not every 1 in 50 hits basically. So I don't know how much that's going to affect things. Everyone's saying like, oh, Gladiator is nerfed. I don't actually know, because it might be a conditional thing that they're not being too specific about. They love to be not ultra specific about some of the bug fixes. So it might just be a conditional thing that I'm not replicating. It might affect some people more than others. Anyway, still a busted node even with the bug fix, because lucky block is, obviously you have to block first. You want to invest in extra chance to block, so you get that like here and here. He doesn't get the extra spell block, interesting. You get versatile combatant to have that, like, you basically get a like 70-67 block spell block, which turns into a stupid like 90-89 effective block once you've blocked recently. So defensively, that amount of damage avoidance is just insane. But basically for 2 ascendancy points and for equipping a shield and taking some, you don't even have to take that many points on the tree. Even easier with a shield than it is with dual wielding. And then you have the fork in the road with gladiators, who my archetype is non-ailment. It's very hit based. I'm just scaling like damage, crit damage and stuff with like replica wings of entropy. But a lot of people will play gladiators more as a damage over time build. You get gratuitous fight, you get the bleed pots, which makes your clear a lot smoother, and then you get constantly aggravated bleeding, which means you don't have to worry about inflicting any chance to aggravate bleeding with anything. You get resolute techniques, you don't have to worry about accuracy. We're running blood magic here as well, another good option again if you don't have any auras you care about. He is running a vitality, but it only takes away like 200 of his life for the sake of getting that much life basically back per second. So even with blood magic, it's worth running your vitality. We got a 6-link here, which is very good. This is a corrupted 6-link, probably obtained from Alva. Often the source of corrupted 6-links when you're doing corrupted Tempest Temple Hornet. If the corruption hits a chest, it can turn that into a 6-link. So this guy got very lucky here by getting that within a week, and he's got a 6-link lacerator hemorrhage on here. So he is not even using. This is the interesting thing, because a lot of people will be using Eviscerate and they'll be relying, because you get that lucky block, it's very easy to just cheat out the big Eviscerate bleed, but this guy is just using Lacerate of Hemorrhage. It'll be interesting to jump into POB and see what exactly Eviscerate could do instead, but he might have worked out that it's just a lot easier just sticking with Lacerate of Hemorrhage rather than having to rely on the blocks at all, which is fair enough. Chance to bleed, deadly as he's got massive array of like this. So this is again like someone who within a week has probably been playing a lot. He's got a lot of synergistic supports. Either he's very lucky or playing a lot, but it's possible if you're looking to put the time in. Maybe this is what your week 3 or 4 character would look like if you're playing more casually. But you know, never look at Ruthless and think, oh, I can't plan around getting, I'm not going to get any supports, I need to be able to kill Maven on a one, you know. Uniques and supports will come to you as long as you're willing to work with what you get, and you can lab flip and you can 3-to-1, that you can still ship Vricium to Pondium in the end game if you want to farm more supports that way. Don't think that you can't get what you want, because people are getting it within just like week 1. We got Molten Shell on here. The tree for bleed, again, you see this is like quite similar to the shell we saw from the slams, where we're taking a lot of this like just like good like armor nodes, life nodes around here. And then we got the main difference going to be we're taking these things like Savage Wounds here. We take Master of Wounds here, so lots of dot multi for bleeding and stuff. Just picking that up around the same places, so we don't go out of our way for anything. It's not like the Mammoth tree where we have to go all the way through the tree for anything, even though that pathway they took is very optimal and very nice for they're picking up life and suppression and stuff. There's no suppression on this build as far as I can see. That is one weakness of the gladiator, is they're really good at avoiding barrages of smaller hits, but when you get to the very high end bossing, if you're pushing this build to pinnacles and stuff, there are some hits you cannot tank, and if you get too reliant on tanking, you can start to just like suddenly you're kissing the floor. One of the advantages of taking blood magic is getting that 10% extra life, but even with that he's only got 4k life, and I think that's often going to be like, yeah, so he's got 30% movement speed boots, no life on the boots, decent life here, good life here. Life regen mod here is like, so this is another, you know, there's a good like 300-ish life the build would have if it had a good life mod here, or if it had the 50% mastery. A regen mod like that is, it sucks to see, but the 6-link is worth running at this point anyway, so it's not like we, you know, beggars can't be choosers. You can't complain about that. But that's, you know, this build wouldn't just, this archetype would have more than 4k life. This is more owing to, oh, he's also got the anvil. No, I glossed over that. The anvil's really cool. I mean, it does while it does reduce your attack speed, gives you a lot of life gain on block, extra maximum chance to block attack damage. It's a really cool option. It's a common amulet as well. Just like with supports, don't feel like you can't plan around the concept of any uniques. Even in SSF, if you're willing to put the time in, there are a lot of common uniques that you're not guaranteed to see anything, but you can always have like a selection of things that you're thinking this would be good for my build. If they're like the lowest tier uniques, there's a decent chance you're going to see them in SSF over like a few weeks. So, you know, something like the anvil is definitely something you can play a gladiator and think like, oh, I'd love to get the anvil. It's good to get excited about these things, you know. Don't factor them out of your league start planning. Just don't rely entirely on them unless you're like playing trade. You know, like I can put Marily into Fallacy in my POB when I'm playing trade, because I know that I can hold on to some AUX, live search for it, and then when people start finding them, I can be like bartering for them and eventually get one, even if I lose some sales here or there, potential to get it. We see a sword here as well. Do note, I think it's just because, again, this is the best weapon he's found in terms of like raw Phys damage. Usually later on you would swap to a big fat axe. There we go. And we have recombinators still, so later on it's a lot, you know, you can mash together those high tier Phys mods to get that highest Phys hit on a good Reaver axe. That's your end game weapon. You can look forward to doing that. Oh, we do have Eviscerate. Oh, we do have Eviscerate here. Why is it not? It's POB is messing with me, man. That's not. The Stone Golem is the weapon. I didn't notice the weapon yet. So he does have Eviscerate. It's on a free link with Expert Retaliation and Pulverize. So he is using Eviscerate. It'd be interesting to see what the bleed damage is of Eviscerate on a free link versus Lacerate to Hemorrhage on a 6 link. Again, definitely, if you like playing Bleed Gladiator, throw like week 1 versions of this in the POB and see how they're doing, see what their damage is like, because you can, that dot damage is very like good, like reliable damage, and you can see how comfortable would I be trying to get 2 stones with that kind of damage, if that's looking good, because like people, you know, especially on a 6 link, obviously you'd think we'd be there already, and this guy most likely already definitely got 2 stones with this kind of gear, as long as he can get the maps to drop. So yeah, Bleed Gladiator, very good archetype. If you don't want to play something like my full retaliation based gladiator but you want the defenses, Bleed Gladiator 100%. Next up at number 5, we have Summon Raging Spirits. Here we see it on a Guardian, also playable on a Chieftain if you want a more defensive shell. Guardian potentially the better starter, while Chieftain has the better potential to go into higher tier bossing. This is a build from Hard R, who was, as far as I'm aware, doing Ubers and stuff, or I think he's done Ubers, or he's planning to do. He's definitely done Ubers on this kind of archetype. I've seen POBs of like 40 million kind of DPS, some Raging Spirits build that he's been able to make in Ruthless SSF with this starter archetype and growing it all the way. I think if we take his gear all the way into, can I get latest snapshot, please? Hang on. Week 15. Nope. Hang on, let me just go off. Let me go to latest snapshot. Where is it? Oh, he was doing it on a scion. With yeah, this is what dedication gets you. We've got the Envy Alls. We've got the Severed in Sleep, Granting the Envy. We've got Svalin, Devouring Diadem, Bottled Faith. Absolutely insane. POB refused to even estimate the damage of this Summon Raging Spirit here. But yeah, that's not the starter version, but that's what this kind of thing, like, if you want to play one build the whole league, you want to play Mama, you want to play minions, SRS is probably the next best option, just in terms of the quality of life you get from the way the skill works and it clears and the bossing DPS and everything. We're back on week 1. Hang on, it's a Bottled Faith down there again. Notice on week 1, so he's killed Eater, most likely also therefore killed Exarch. He's using the Inextricable Fate boots from Eater, very common drop, another one of those things but you can't necessarily plan around for your, like, if you don't want to lead on this concept for your starter, for like making, you know, you need to make sure you can do the pinnacles without it, but it is a very common drop from Eater. The other one is like the Gluttonous Tide Bow, which is pretty shit, but these boots are really cool and there are some fun things you can do with them. So, you know, we've got all damage inflicting poison here from those, which pretty cool. We've got a convenient one here, granting level 1 convocation. That's interesting, I didn't know they could do that. So we've got a minion wand, nothing too crazy otherwise though. Replica Soul Tether, obtainable, farmable from Heist, not the most common thing to find, but you know, with enough, you know, this might be a case that, you know, this might have come early on in a blueprint and it was like a lucky find, because it's a very nice find to have defensively for a Guardian archetype. It might have also just been dedication to heist after a while. We've got Corrupted Soul here on a... Oh yeah, that comes from the belt. I forgot. So yeah, you get you get that 50% of life as extra maximum ES, and then it splits the damage between life and ES. We've got a 5-link, Sun Raging Spirit here. We've got Ruthless, Unleash Most. So no melee splash you'll see here. No melee splash support, and the clear's still fine as it is. Got the zombies and specters. Worth noting about specters, there's lots of really good specters you can get in Ruthless if you're willing to put some time into Ritual. There are, you know, when we're talking about mercenaries and what they're going to add to all our builds and the wacky potential of mercenaries, specters already do that basically for minion builds. They give you auras and shit. They do crazy stuff. We can't see what specter exactly Hard R was using here. And if I'd bothered to ask him about this before making the video, I could know and tell you, but because he's in the Ruthless Discord. But there's a bunch of different options. I'd rather leave it to like go and look at the specters you can get from Ritual rewards and get excited, because there's lots of fun stuff there. Meat Shield though, very good to you want to boost the life of those specters. You want to make sure, yeah, Meat Shield, minion life. You don't want them dying on you. We've got a Mortal Core here. We've got Holy Relic, Vitality. So again, mostly just like quest gems otherwise. So we've got the trifecta of Brutus rewards here. We've got Anger as well. So Anger, so he's, you know, Anger's the kind of thing where, like, you know, Raging Spirits here are doing, he's got elemental damage to attacks. They do decent elemental damage, do decent fire damage, so Anger is a good drop here. But, you know, there's other 50% auras you could throw on this build if you found one would also work. So it's not like this is, you don't need to look at this and be like, oh no, I shouldn't, you know, I'm not gonna be, this build isn't going to work well for me by week 1, I won't necessarily drop it. It's not essential. You can even look at his day 4 gear and see he was already 87 on day 4 at the 5-link. Didn't have Anger at this point, and still pushing to 87 just fine. So it's not like he's leaning on the aura at all. Got it on day 5. So yeah, SRS, very comfortable play style, just like little minions clearing for you kind of thing. Extra, you know, zombies is nice for like the zombies are nice for defensively as well, because they can help keep stuff off your back further. They can like be like a big like a meat shield, even if you don't give them the support. Hexbloom, I love seeing this as well. This is why I love looking at builds and seeing text like this. Hexbloom support, if you get this, don't discount this. You won't see this in most build guides. I would never put it in mine in the endgame build guide, because socket pressure ends up adding up later on. But it's the kind of support, if you get this, you throw it on your Hex. You always throw this on your Hex, unless you have like more issues with using it, and you shouldn't. This is just going to mean you can curse one pack of enemies, and as long as things are busy enough, the curse is just going to spread to everyone. It's really nice, especially nice for content like Delve, which gets really dense, and you don't want to have to stop to keep reapplying your curse to the packs in order to make sure they're dying faster. Most of the time you just won't even curse packs because of that, because it's just like less optimal. With this, you can just do it once, and then it's just going to keep on reapplying to everything. Really nice support to find there, but again, not essential for the build. Loads of this stuff is not essential for the build. Lots of nice minion supports and stuff. The quality of the minion supports we're seeing on this build, even like if we go back down to like day 3 and we're seeing the minion damage, elemental army, minion life, a lot of this will come from like if you spend time doing stuff like lab farming, you can find supports faster like this in SSF. Otherwise it's just a matter of luck and potentially also shipping. Gotta remember, in Ruthless 3.25 we've had Gems to Pondium. We will have this in 3.26, but it is nerfed. Boats are going to be slower, ore is harder to find, and it's also a blockable mechanic now, so if you want to focus other mechanics, you may likely block it. So yeah, you might find the rate at which you require supports is slower, so maybe, you know, the week 1 builds will, on the whole, maybe the power curve will be slightly lower in 3.26, but at the same time we've got mercenaries adding that power back in a way, so, you know, swings and roundabouts. But yeah, SRS Guardian also playable as a shell on the Chieftain. Chieftain does, as far as I've heard, it starts in a bad place for minions though. Like, you notice how this build only goes down here for life. Chieftain would be like, well, it only starts down here for life. It wants to fuck off very quickly upstairs. So Chieftain maybe is less comfortable as the starter in terms of what you're doing. It's nice to start around all the nice, you know, Guardian based stuff. Templar area for this archetype. Also, obviously, you don't get the crest rewards. You'll have to mule the gems for a Chieftain. So I'd recommend Guardian. I believe Hard R is playing Chieftain SRS or something. I might be wrong. I've heard talk of he's looking towards Chieftain minion archetypes for 3.26 just for the added tankiness that you can get with that. But Guardian does seem like the more straightforward starter if you're going to recommend this skill and minions. If you don't want to play, again, if you don't want to play Mama. One very comfortable option we do have for Chieftain is Righteous Fire. Anyone who knows the name Pox will be well aware of this already, and even though Pox doesn't make his guides for Ruthless as far as I'm aware, very good source for information on Righteous Fire and mechanics and stuff that you can apply to Ruthless, as long as you don't take ideas like what you can do with the crafting bench and this and that. You know, improvise, adapt and overcome, you'll be fine. Chieftain is a great spot to abuse Righteous Fire just because they get the bonuses from fire resistance, also Planet Cold and Lightning, so you can just stack fire, and because you can stack fire you can take the regen mastery for amazing effect, massive life regen, couple that with vitality, you can just have absolutely insane life regen as long as you're able to get the fire res that you need. And obviously Ruthless being Ruthless, you have to depend on gear that drops. You might not be getting much early on. It's not like you're going to end Act 1 with capped fire res and be able to abuse anything that early. However, there are recipes in Ruthless. If you go on vendor recipes, there are Ruthless specific ones to get resistances on things. Check the vendor recipes for Ruthless for that. But obviously, again, like, this is week 1 gear, and you just see, like, on every single piece here, oh, you got a bit of lightning res, boots with life and basically life and movement speed there is the priority. We are seeing other res here, so you can see the consequence of playing SSF. You're going to use what drops if it's just like, you know, as much life as possible, obviously, is ideal. But there's fire res on a lot of pieces here, and you take this fire res, we take this Holy Fire up here as well for the 5-dot multi, really nice, go up here. It's a really nice tree here, so instead of the melee area here where we take all the armor and melee related stuff here, we're taking some stuff here, we take some res here. Diamond Skin is here as well, always nice to take earlier on. I imagine he did take it earlier on. He did not, interesting. I usually would, but maybe a Chieftain gets enough res from their Ascending node you don't feel like you need to use it. That's pretty cool. Res comes from here as well. You see how much little bits of res we can get on the tree. There's bits of res here, bits of res here with the max res, there's res here. So it's not hard to solve your fire res for Righteous Fire as well with that. Life down here, life here, endurance charges, life regen. Something I mentioned in the Swordstorm guide I was making, which is this is a perfect example of what I was talking about. If your build's offensive capabilities get primarily scaled by how you invest in your defensive capabilities, you're onto a winner. If you the best in Ruthless, often the best offense is a good defense, especially in cases like Righteous Fire, where like the better you can mitigate that fire damage caster, the more the quicker that's gonna come online for you. And because you've got a massive amount of regen, you can just scale the regen on top of that, and then it's just really satisfying. Glancing Blows is a really interesting angle here as well. I don't know how often that's. I haven't looked at Pox's guide, so I don't know if every RF Chieftain would take that, but you do basically go past it with this kind of tree. So you do benefit a lot from that. But again, the double chance to block, if you have a decent shield, you've got a 44% increased chance to block shield here, so you can get that double chance to block, and it just means you take a lot less attack damage, even though you are taking some percentage damage from blocked hits. If you're padding out that damage, if it's coming in slower, it's going to let your regen kick in, so that's a very good idea there as well. Sanctum of Fort here for reduced crit damage, Sanctity. Just see how much of this build is just defenses, endurance charges, life, armor, res, stun immunity. This is the kind of build, like if Sats Juggernaut's Sunder build was one of the best defensive things you can play in Ruthless. This is also one of the best defensive builds you can play in Ruthless. Bit of damage over here with Divine Judgment. Elemental Mastery taken is not taken. There's no Elemental Mastery taken, which is interesting. I can't remember what they all do, so maybe there isn't one that's worth taking at this point. And then yeah, you kind of just like stretch up here, so you probably go to some of this stuff like sooner. Again, look at Pox's recommendations. I'd say for tree order and stuff, you can look at just day one here, but this guy was already 67. So yeah, you see here that he hasn't taken stun immunity or the max res stuff, hasn't taken, yeah, he's not investing in max res much yet. Taking this and also taking the chance to explode, really nice node. It really massively improves your clear by having those big pops happen, because that explosion is not just a ballistic, it's a little nuke that goes off. 500% of their life as fire damage is very nice. But yeah, stretches over here, take this, go all the way over here. There's a lot of travel nodes here, but it's worth it. What you get from the build is just a very comfortable setup. Not very fast killing bosses or anything, obviously, but very comfortable with clearing, comfortable in general. With enough defenses and regen stuff, you can just like sit on the boss, go and make yourself a cup of tea. By the time you come back, boom, you see that he hasn't dropped a map, and you know, rage at the map drop chance again. But yeah, again, lots of self-explanatory stuff here going on. Nothing, no crazy mechanics, you know. One thing we are seeing here, which is really nice, is seeing Flicker Strike come out as a movement skill with faster attacks. The attack speed on Flicker Strike is already pretty good, especially if you do have generation of frenzy charges. I don't know if he necessarily does, because I haven't played this archetype. This is basically, you can't control exactly where you go with this, but it's much faster than using like Consecrated Path, which is another option you get for movement in Ruthless, because you can't use Leap Slam, you can't use like, you know, Frostblink, Flame Dash. Summon Skitterbot's coming out here as an aura as well. That's a huge drop. This is one of those like GG auras to drop in SSF, because you can basically throw this in any build and get very good effect from it, because it's going to give you increased damage and it's going to chill things. It's just really nice. But yeah, we see two full links here. We see Righteous Fire with burning damage, efficacy, elemental focus, so 3 nice supports here. Oh, we don't, this is not a full link, no, I misspoke. We just see a 1-link Scorching Ray. So this is a good example. This guy's pushed to 89, does not have many support gems. You've got Urgent Orders for Enduring Cry, which is, that's really comfortable, it's really nice. Got Life Tap here, technically, for Flammability, Molten Shell, and stuff. Scorching Ray is really nice here, because it's applying the exposure. So basically you stand in front of the boss and you're just like beaming them with a Scorching Ray. We see Fire Track come out as well. There is a new damage over time gem, the Blast Rain of Traphus. Does require a bow though. I'm not sure if it's something people are going to consider using as like some kind of extra weapon swap, because it's an extra burning damage debuff you can add on. I think it does more base fire damage than Fire Trap, which is really interesting. But it does require a bow, which is but might be a new archetype. I haven't been following discussions about fire damage over time, so I don't know if Pox has looked at it already and made a verdict. But yeah, there's angles you can take this build as well. That's not just the same Righteous Fire kind of archetype that everyone's been playing. There is a new gem to look at, which is really cool. And Chieftain also, like, no nerfs to Chieftain. Chieftain in Ruthless is also getting all the same stuff as usual, the max fire res. Infinite Power Warcry is taken again. You're going to see these 4 nodes taken a lot. They're just really nice. Explosions, infinite power, and the res stuff. Because again, Infinite Power Warcry means Enduring Cry is going to give you its maximum effect. So that is, I think it counts. I don't know if the endurance charge gain is actually capped. It doesn't say counting a maximum, so it might just cap your. It's gonna get, you need to get 5 here, but even if you have more than 5 endurance charges, you might be able to get more. That's cool. Yeah, Righteous Fire Chieftain, always a good idea. Next up at number 7, for those of you looking to play a poison build, I would strongly recommend you look at Poisonous Concoction of Bouncing. This build in Ruthless Frisia, I think one of the top players took this build to tier 16s and to pinnacles faster than anyone else. The damage output this skill can do when properly set up is astronomical, and we see it here on a Scion as an example. I don't know if I necessarily recommend that. You can play it on Trickster as well. Scion does have some nice bonuses. This guy is taking Deadeye for +1 projectile, which is different for bouncing. It doesn't actually give you projectiles. I think it gives you extra chains. Tailwind and Mark, so Deadeye's really nice there. And Trickster for that polymath, like polymath effect without the life gain or stuff, but bit of extra spell damage suppression when on full energy shield, bit of chill wizard, lots of nice stuff from Scion here. And we see an interesting tree here. Again, this is an example of someone who pushed his skill very well early on. Not necessarily the only way you can play the skill though, and he does have a few uniques. Again, not essential uniques, just like good stuff for the build. Don't get tripped up by these again. You can obviously be playing this build effectively without them, but he does have an extra support gem from getting the Embalmer. That's good. Vile Toxins. Comes with like Chaos Res as well. Really nice. Getting a nice hoop as well. That's a really nice hoop. And Carnage Heart. But yeah, don't get tripped up. It's not like, oh, if I don't have these uniques, this build's gonna suck. No, this is just him taking the build further. He did play this from day one. From day 3, he actually had these drop as well. He had a Wheel of the Storm sail early on as well, which is really cool. But even on just day 1, okay, this guy got a lot of uniques. This guy had good luck. He also, he rushed Deadeye first. If you even just look at his day 1 tree though, you see like this is the side that someone knows what they're doing, where they're going this far across the tree on day 1, but they're just picking up everything they need. Scion starts quite nice in a lot of ways. You get life, gets the reflexes suppression, Mage Bane early on here as well. Doesn't care about evasion. Beeline straight down. Takes attributes. Takes onslaught on kill. So this guy's zooming. Again, you might want to look at all the different ways people are playing. If the skill interests you, Poison's Concoction of Bouncing. It has this. Let me go to the skill itself. A lot of text, but quite a simple skill ultimately. Instead of adding more projectiles, you get more chains, and that basically means it's bouncing around more, and it's bouncing around more because it can chain when impacting the ground. It's kind of like rolling magma in that way, chains around directions. Does consume charge for your life flask to use, so you want to make sure you are getting your, sustaining your life flask and upgrading your life flask, because it's a concoction skill, so you don't need a weapon as well, which makes it very nice for SSF as long as you can upgrade your flasks. So you see he's just using 4 life flasks here. It also comes with a chance to he's got max quality on that as well. That is he's hit a very nice double corrupt there, I think, to get that 21 chance to inflict withered on hit from the quality here is huge. Now you could play this as well on a Pathfinder because you get withered effect from them and some flask stuff as well, but we see people sustain their flasks well enough without being Pathfinder. Pathfinder and Ruthless is a bit shit in a lot of ways as an ascendancy, so seeing it on a Scion here makes sense. There's a lot of stuff they get from this as well, mostly from the Scion start. What they're getting here, they're getting life over here, they get a nice pathway to Unwavering Stance, an excuse to go over here for stun immunity, and then they're just getting life. They're just getting life mostly, and this is a good indicator that their skill is doing so much damage that they can spend a lot of time just going all the way over here just to get life and stun immunity and stuff. They're not having to worry on the tree going like, oh, where's my damage and stuff. They just get the life. You get Plague Bearer as well, which can carry some of your single target damage earlier on as well. That's a really nice bonus button you get for doing more damage. We see chains as well, we see less balls, so you get loads and loads and loads and loads of chains per use of this skill. You just spam it out and you just stack loads and loads of stacks of poison. This is doing more than 8k DPS obviously. Fatal Toxins taken here. We've got increased chaining range here from Trick Shot. Then we take all the right side good stuff. Often right side builds in Ruthless can feel a lot rougher and squishier, which is one of the reasons why we see him, I think, go over here, get the Unwavering Stance. He's not going evasion at all. This is just life based, take suppression, a little bit of extra max res taken somewhere down here in Crystal Skin, so he's got some chance to avoid elemental ailments, which is nice. And then he's taking, he's got Mage Bane. No other keystones for damage, basically. Careful Conservationist, reduced flash charges used, so you get extra charges reduced gained here, which is very nice. Taking accuracy is necessary. This is an attack skill. So it is necessary. You're not taking Resolute Technique with it. Obviously, it's all the way over here, so you will need to get accuracy. Also a Val Grace drop, massive drop here. Very interesting seeing him taking using Val Grace and then taking Iron Reflexes, because again he's knocked down for evasion. It's a lot comfier usually to just take the stun immunity and then convert this to armor and just have the reliable damage reduction rather than relying on evasion, because at lower levels evasion is just going to fail you more than you want it to often, unless you're like a very long range build. We see precision, despair is the curse, arrogance, vitality for a bit of extra life regen. We see an extra poisonous concoction of bouncing as well. I'm not sure what exactly that's been. That might have been like an old gem or something. I don't know if that's actually being used in the build. I don't know if they used to. We see Frost Bomb again come out with a reduced life regen. Always a good tech to remember there. No 5-link here though. But like this is the kind of build, like just on a 4-link on an SSF start, this can shoot off to get 2 stones on like pretty weak gear, just because how strong the skill is. Like the concoction skills in general, they are just very strong. You got these, what you want in your flask for this is just that thing saying increased amount recovered. You want these giant flasks, because that's what's going to boost the damage from poisonous concoction of bouncing so much. But yeah, I did not know this gave Withered on hit from quality. That's crazy. The crazy thing about Ruthless Pathfinder is it doesn't get innate chance to wither on hit. It gets wither effect from an ascendancy point, not chance to wither on hit, which it's really bad. You have to use like wither totems or get something like this, obviously, or withering touch support or something like that. But it's very nice. You can farm this from lab, and then you not only get like one of the best poison applying skills in the game, but it comes with its own chance to apply wither on hit, and that stacks very fast when you spam it out. Has a chance to poison on hit as well. Man, this skill is so good. I need to look into like making a build for this at one point as well, but I would just be finding someone else's, probably just jumping on the bandwagon. It's been explored a lot. Definitely a good option. At number 8 we have Cold Dot, a real blast from the past. This was actually the first build archetype I played in Ruthless. I had an absolute blast with it. It has since been power crept quite a lot by other builds, but in 3.26 Cold Dot is getting a lot of buffs. The Cold Dot skills themselves are getting higher damage. Also uniques like Replica, Replica, Allelopathy, level 22 Wintertide brand is becoming level 25 Wintertide brand. Now in regular Cold Dot guides for regular PoE, you may not see this used as much aside from a starter option, but in Ruthless, since this is target farmable and you basically get a 5-link for free, it also buffs Wintertide brand's chill effect and gives you immunity to chill, which is crazy because it's one of those things that you can't I'm pretty sure regular occultist still gets chill immunity, and does it get free? Yeah, it gets chill, I think, even and freeze immunity as well or something like that, whereas Ruthless 1 doesn't, which sucks. You see he doesn't even take Frigid Wake here because it doesn't give you any damage, it just chills nearby enemies, but that's kind of like not that great if you're playing Cold Dot and you're chilling everything very quickly anyway. So the crazy, you can take this build as long as you could get through heist without dying and stuff and secure the gloves. Grab these from a blueprint as soon as you can. We'll see how fast he got them. Day 4 he was using Kalisa's Grey, so that was a nice little drop for him there. Day 5, so this was a bit later. He was, yeah, this took him some time to find in SSF, but very worth focusing on farming heist a bit for, because that is going to be level 25 Wintertide brand, which is it's at 5 extra levels on the skill compared to using a level 20 version that you would use from a gem. And you get to use 4 supports on it, whatever you can find that works for Cold Dot. Cold Dot can be a little limiting for supports. It only has so many supports that you want to use. So that is one of the dangerous things with playing this archetype. One of the plus sides, however, is you can layer multiple skills on top of each other. So you've got Wintertide brand. You also have Vile Cold Snap here and Creeping Frost to use. And these can share links as well. I think when I played Cold Dot in Sanctum League for Ruthless, my final 6 link was just a double 5 link because it was more effective to have as a double 5 link. And I was using that was back in the Vortex, the glory days of Vortex, which are long gone now because we can't left click spells, instant spells anymore because GGG hates fun. But yeah, Occultist gives a lot of nice things. The +1 curse from Unholy Authority, Profane Bloom for pops while clearing, with Wintertide Brand zipping around and chilling things. That's going to make clear super smooth. Vile Bastion is also honorable mention to Vile Bastion, not more than an honorable mention, like a very, very, very significant mention to Vile Bastion. One of the best nodes that's Ruthless exclusive, overlooked too much. This is one of the best defenses you can get topside, especially looking at Elementalist, unfortunately, not being that viable outside of some... I think Shaper of Flames has a slightly reduced effect, but does have the Phys to fire, which is really nice. But topside defenses can suffer a lot. I mean, Necro gets some stuff as well. This is when you pair this with things like if you can get Petrified Blood, if you can get Corrupted Soul, and you invest in Recoup. We'll see if we yep, we see Circle of Life taken here. We see, where is it? There's some over here I usually take as well. It's not here. Vampirism. He doesn't take Vampirism. I guess it's a bit out of the way for him. Recoup. Yeah, we see some Recoup coming out there. We've got Growth and Decay there. We've got, I think there's some up here. Brand Equity. There we go. Infused Flesh. So there's a large amount of damage taken recouped. So basically the thing with Occultist is, as well as you get, you can get, you've got your Energy Shield, you've got your Energy Shield regen and all that usual stuff. Arctic Armor here coming out as well. For some reason, Zealotry as well. I think he's just using that at the moment for Consecrated Ground generation, which is not even like a bad use. I mean, it's 50% of your mana, but if you don't have anything else to do with it, yeah. Hexbloom there again, lovely to see, lovely to see. Yeah, so basically, like, as long as you can get your max hit up enough and nothing can just kill you, you end up generating a lot of life back whenever you get hit, and if you can split that damage between life and energy shield, like, even better. When you like, heist farming for Cold Dot in Ruthless is the angle, not just for these gloves but for Replica Soul Tether, which we saw in a build earlier. That Corrupted Soul effect, huge, especially if you can get it Petrified Blood. You're onto a winner. I played that for a private league once, and I was able to push the build pretty fast, pretty well. It did get over. The one thing you have trouble with is getting stunned. It can be worth investing in. Where's Practice Caster or something? It's down here. Or no, it's not down here. There's some stun. I can't remember where it is. There is also a new dot. I think around a minion instability, there's new dot cluster here, which may be worth taking. It's not that far away, but this is the kind of you'll see these kind of things often on Cold Dot builds. I mean, he's going over here to take a lot of extra, like, elemental stuff, spell damage, strength and int. You take the brand stuff, obviously. You're playing Wintertide Brand, you got to go over here and take Runebinder. So this kind of stuff is like, this comes with the territory because we're going over here to take Runebinder. There are faster ways to get over here as well, but it's nice to go over here, take this. I mean, I think 1, 2, 3. I'm pretty sure if I was, I guess you take this here. So I feel I can save this guy a point, but this might not be. You might want to path down here instead of up here. The main thing you want to look at for Cold Dot trees and advice in general, this would be tailored towards non-Ruthless, but you can adapt it to Ruthless. Because again, as long as you can take those things into account, like we don't have crafting bench, we don't have reliable access to uniques. Adjust your expectations and understanding of what you have access to. Shack Central put out a 3.26 Cold Dot guide. I will throw that in the description as well. Definitely worth, if he's going to be streaming as well. He's the Cold Dot. Ask him any questions. He has played Ruthless, he has experience with the mode, so I would direct your questions and attention to him, again, rather than me. I'm just looking at some guy's POB. I have played the build, but I've played the build a long time ago. I have not played the brand variant. But it definitely looks strong, and these things, you know, you're getting level 25 Wintertide Brand. Other caster skills are getting buffed. There's a lot of nice things to look at. Also, honorable shout out to this guy's Astrolabe Amulet, which basically, I think he's got some cold damage pen, which doesn't do anything for Cold Dot on it. Otherwise, he's just using this for, like, I mean, it's a very nice amulet, like nice attributes, life and elemental resistances. But it's kind of funny that he's using an astrolabe. Probably got this as it is. I think he probably found it as it is, just in a heist. So yeah, because he's got this, so he's been heisting a lot. Found this in heist and he was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna wear this. It could be like, this could be any base amulet. It doesn't really have, I think it's just the damage penetrates mod that is a redeemer mod, but doesn't do really anything for the build because penetration doesn't impact dot damage. Yeah, I recommend more people look at Cold Dot this league than before. It was power crept a lot earlier, but now going into 3.26 looks a lot stronger. Again, it's a good heist angle, and hey, if you're going to heist and you're playing trade and you find a replica Wings of Entropy, you know where to find me. At number 9, we have the physical damage over time Scion, another damage over time build. I played this in Affliction League. I have a guide for this, which you can probably adapt quite easily for 3.26 because a lot of the principles remain the same. It's again another archetype that's been power crept a lot, and you're seeing a level 80 build here because no one was really pushing it in 3.25 that hard. Understandably, it's not as strong as other options, which you would be pushing the Atlas with. However, the skills, the Eviscerate and Reap and Violet, they're all getting very nice buffs going into 3.26, so definitely put some eyes back on physical damage over time. You can play this as a Trickster as well. Tricksters just has a generally good package just for defenses and damage over time in the area of the tree they're in. However, I would recommend playing it on a Scion. There are a few options you can do with Scion. One of the best nodes you can take though is Slayer. You get Culling Strike from this, you get Reflect Immunity, which is just nice for mapping, but you get Overleech, which is a very important thing. As long as you can get some spell damage leached as life from a source, and I went over this, there's a few different sources you can get for this. It's not something you necessarily get earlier on, but you can get it from farming Delve until you find the Architect and getting Cerberus Limb. You can get it from an Eldritch mod on your gloves. You can get it from some cluster. It's something that takes the build to the next level because the sustain you get from getting the leech and overleech on top of everything else you get is really valuable, especially since this build can push a lot of life. We see here this guy is taking 2 life masteries. I think when I was playing some 3.24 I did this whole stretch, and you can just take like 6 different life wheels, and then you take the more life you get from taking 6 masteries. Absolute butt ton of life on the build, which is really helpful for a caster build, which again, like, you know, as I was saying with the occultist having that recoup node, casters can struggle for defenses, like pure casters, especially like, you know, self-casting stuff. If you're not playing totems or anything, or you're not playing minions, intelligence builds that have to stand there for a sec to hit stuff can suffer in Ruthless, just because you don't have those movement skills to suddenly get you out of quick situations, quickly get you out of danger, suddenly get you know what I mean. You have quick step. Quick step is, we all know it's pretty shit. We see some very interesting choices here though. We see I don't know if I wouldn't use Poacher's Mark because it doesn't really do anything, because, you know, it does give frenzy charges when you kill stuff, but you can get that from other sources as well. You could be using like Blood Rage for it, having it on kill. I guess with quality you can get frenzy charges on hit with this as well. I just wouldn't recommend it. I did, when I played this in 3.24, I did take the Raider node. We had Raider back then. No, not 3.2. 3.2. What was Affliction? 3.23. Whatever number Affliction was. When I played Affliction, we had Raider in Affliction. We have Warden now. The Raider node gave you frenzy charge on hit as a small chance, and I comboed that with like Orb of Storms or something stupid to proc that, like by hitting the enemy multiple times with some like random spell. We don't have that anymore, so there are other options for your second ascendancy here. He's taking Berserker again. I wouldn't take this in brute. It's 5%. It lowers your EHP. I wouldn't usually do that. It does give you more damage and some instant leech, which again isn't very useful. Also, the rage is not very useful. I do not mean to, you know, I don't mean to flame this at all. I'm not trying to. Just like, if I were to recommend, this is the highest level version of this I could find in SSF, and I want to keep using SSF. So like, I definitely think this is a very good idea, but I wouldn't necessarily be taking Berserker. I'd probably be taking something like Trickster here for the increased damage. You can get a lot of damage here. You see how many, like, he's got 4 different kinds of masteries, so this wouldn't be that much damage yet, but it would grow into more increased damage. And then you get that, like, that chill effect on monsters nearby, which is really nice for like lowering the pressure on you. There are some other options here as well. You can give yourself Tailwind from here as well. I don't think anything else from Deadeye does much. There is also, you can take Occultist for +1 curse, and also that nearby enemies are chilled. You don't get the energy shield regen, but +1 curse, that's basically like getting Whispers of Doom as an ascendancy. That's actually a lot. That's actually pretty good. That the Whispers of Doom, that's really expensive to anoint, so if you think about the value of that, you know, you might, you know, you can get, because on here we see, oh, again, we see Poacher's Mark of the Curse. Usually you'd be taking, what, like vulnerability, so make things take more physical damage, and you could add punishment on top for a big damage versus lower life, or temporal chains for defenses and stuff like that. And temporal chains also makes effects expire slower, so you don't have to reapply your dots as fast. You know, there's options, but you know, the +1 curse is very nice there. But yeah, I recommend this primarily because the skills are getting buffed. Reap and Exsanguinate are both getting good buffs, and yeah, that's a. Oh, and the other thing, Storm Call of Traphus. Sounds very funny to say Storm Call in this context, because it sounds like a lightning skill, but it's actually a physical damage over time skill. What the fuck? Storm Call of Traphus is going to give you this basically like a blood pool kind of effect when you use it, which does physical damage over time. Don't know if that stacks with Val Reap's effect. If it does, that's amazing. If it doesn't, it's like a stopgap until you get Val Reap maybe, but definitely an option as well. The other nice thing about Phys Dot is, like the other dot skills, you can layer a bunch of effects together. So you've got Reap here. Reap does a lot of damage. When you get this in Act 3, your damage skyrockets, because using Exsanguinate otherwise for a while, before you get Exsanguinate, you, like, I don't know, if I'm playing a Scion, I will just use Spectral Throw and just like hit stuff with that until I get to Exsanguinate. Exsanguinate is nice. I would use this over the transversion just because the shotgunning is very nice versus the chaining. Even though if there's slightly less damage, it's I prefer it. I think that there's some other bonuses, like it has a like faster cast time or something, or it has a yeah. The duration on this is very low. Huh, like 1 second. You have to keep reapplying. You do have to keep reapplying these skills. They have low durations. I kind of forgot about that part of this build. So it is like you do have to repeatedly cast stuff, but getting more duration and more skill effect duration is very nice. Getting more duration spawn there does help a bit. Not something you'll use for like the final links, but like you throw it on because you got it. Corrupting Fever as well though. Corrupting Fever adds more physical damage over time, so very good pick there. Reap, Exsanguinate, all these things stack, and obviously you can throw your Val orb, your free Val you get in Act 2 at you can save that, come back and throw it at Reap and see if you can get Val Reap. Obviously it's nice to get quality, but if you're playing SSF, you're probably going to get quality very slowly unless you're willing to farm lab for a while. So it might just be nice. I think it's better to get Val Reap faster than it is to like try to get a 20% quality Val Reap. Is what I'm saying. And you see a lot of like good early caster tech here as well. Like, so the Holy Flame Totem has come out with the Flame Wall and stuff. These are stuff you could just throw down. Purity of Elements drop though is really nice. That's like a mirror tier kind of aura to drop in Ruthless SSF. So huge luck there. Frost Shield is a nice little extra defense as well. But I don't think this guy doesn't really have any energy shield. So while you're losing energy, you lose 600. I don't know exactly what this is doing for the build, given that doesn't really have much energy. I don't really use Frost Shield, but it's there. Interesting as well, like he takes 2 starter points here, so we can go over here and he takes a Hired Killer for a bit of extra life. There's funny things you can do on Scion like this. Like he goes through this life regen first. You can go here, or you can go through the physical damage. Constitution's right here. It's a really nice starting spot. Iron Will you can take super early to get a boost of spell damage, so you get a lot of damage early. That's why Sion's a really nice starter. I think better than Trickster. It will feel better than Trickster to start with. Dual Socket, life, Elirez, going over to Vanquisher there, life, res, life. So again, you see a lot of defensive stuff just taken, but it works out because the build does already doing enough comfortable damage to get you into maps as it is. Obviously, again, like this is a lower level build. Wasn't pushed that much higher as it is. As I said, there was no one playing this really in 3.25 because the skills have been power crept. But now they're getting buffed, so definitely worth looking at again. last but not at all least, to round out the damage over time trifecta we've made to the end of this list, we have chaos damage over time. Here played as a trickster, playable as a trickster also as an occultist with the cold dot style package we saw earlier, but instead of cold dot it would be taking chaos damage stuff, but the same defensive. Occultist is really good for this. You get the recoup node again, you get profane bloom pox. With chaos damage you can actually potentially scale, and you get the +1 curse. Trickster though, you also get a lot of the defensive value, and you get the one step ahead, really comfortable with the extra defenses and the extra suppression and such. So both of those viable. Trickster is getting a little love tap nerf. This node is becoming slightly worse in Ruthless as well. It's catching a bit of the nerf that Bench League Trickster is getting. So worth noting, I don't think Occultist is getting nerfed. Occultist might take the lead over Trickster now in terms of damage over time builds and stuff. We'll have to see. Recommendations for this again come from the fact that they're buffing a lot of spells. They did melee in 3.25, lots of melee, buffs to melee skills. Now they're buffing a lot of self-cast skills. We'll see if people actually end up self-casting or just end up using them more as totems and mines again. It's, you know, chaos damage over time skills are getting a decent chunk of buffs. Essence drain and such are getting increased damage, so going to be easier to level with. This guy's using Contagion of Subsiding. There's a few different trans versions you can look at for this build. I'm not going to go into too much detail. He has dropped Spell Slinger here, which is really cool, so that's really nice for quality of life. Using this build otherwise, you're just doing some kind of like rotation where you cast your Bane, link to a few curses, you get your Bane out, you cast your Essence Drain. Then while these things are ticking away, you Blight, and do your chaos damage over time with those skills stacking like that. So it's nice to be able to get the stacking damage. The overall damage is pretty decent while leveling. It's pretty reliable. Not going to go into this one in too much detail because again, it's a lower level build. There weren't many people playing chaos damage over time in 3.25. There are going to be hopefully more people in 3.26 if GGG's buffs have done enough. Definitely worth looking at these skills for another, like, you know, the nice thing about playing this on Occultist again is you get the Chaos Pop. It's quite nice for clear, and so you're just casting Bane on packs, and you get the curses applied from Bane as well. They do have a bit of less effect when applied from Bane, but one of the nice things about Bane versus other skills and archetypes we've looked is Bane basically turns curse gems into support gems. You can get some extra curses from Siosa gems because a lot of them are Act 3 rewards that like you have to like pick one out of like a selection and you don't get to pick the others. So you have to use your Siosa gems for those. You can do that with like do with those, or you can mule if you're happy to make another character and spend a few hours. You can get an extra curse and an extra Siosa gem, so you can get more gems selected that way. We see the Despair and Temporal Chains here. Punishment's another common option as well to throw on there, but this guy got Void Manipulation, so like it's nice to, if you get supports like this, to just throw them on as well. You don't have to put all your curses on right away, but it's nice to get the free curses on a 4-link here. Bane is it's more like the only skills in Ruthless where you can get a reliable 4-link skill effectively without having to drop any support gems. Which is really nice. And it's going to be really nice in 3.26 when we have less access to support gems in Ruthless because we don't have gem boats to Pondium necessarily, especially in SSF. Because like if you had another curse here, you could throw that Void Manipulation and you could put that on Essence Drain, you can put that on Blight, depends on your leagues. This multiple totem support here isn't doing anything yet, for instance. I imagine he wants to use spell totem support later on. We might see if he threw the build out a bit. Yeah, this guy kept at it, got to level 88. We see the Grey Spire here for extra global damage, and lots of interesting stuff here. He's got a Hungry Loop with Wither Totems, really cool tech there. Ends up using Contagious Subsiding, and with Soul-Rend of the Spiral. That's really cool. I have not seen that. There's a lot of fun I've not checked out the chaos damage over time trans gems. I couldn't point you to what exactly is the best one, but the fun of Ruthless and stuff is like you can just do your lab swaps and then see what you get. And if you get something like this offered, try it out, you know, have fun. The joy of discovery is all there, especially because they're buffing a lot of these things as well. And you've still got like Bane with just a couple of curses here as well, because obviously if you want to put more curses on Bane, you will have to raise your curse limit. So he's got Whispers of Doom allocated here, but if you're playing Occultist, you can get that +1 curse from Occultist as well. If you're playing Trickster, you're going to be limited. So that would be the other reason why he's not gone for the 3 curses. Obviously, I'm very used to just thinking about this in terms of Occultist, where you get the 3rd curse from Occultist, which is really cool. You can also get, like, at the very, very top end, you might even be able to get a Hunter chest in Ruthless. Very unlikely you can get that 5-linked or 6-linked comfortably, though. You're more likely just going to drop a 5-link base and there aren't any Hunter. I wish there were Hunter Exalted Orbs and stuff in Ruthless. It would be really cool, because they'd be really exciting things to slam. It fits in the vision of Ruthless to be able to slam that mod like that, I think, but I don't know. We don't have them, unfortunately, and we can't Chaos Orb bases either. They lose the influence, so it's very hard to get that +1 curse chest as well. So worth bearing in mind that, like, because they are nerfing Trickster a bit, like, Polymath is still very good for mapping and recovery and damage. 1 step ahead's really comfy, but Occultist does get that +1 curse, does get that recoup angle, which is really cool, and there's lots of cool stuff you can do with that. We do see all ooh, cannot be stunned by the I think these are just mostly being used for 30% boots, really. But yeah, even by like week 3, this guy, so it's a bit slower than other people, obviously. Again, that can just come from, like, that doesn't necessarily mean that he was like, oh, he's a worse player because he plays the, you know, people have commitment, people have lives. Some people play less per day than other people. Some people don't have jobs. Grey Spy is really interesting here, though, for like a big global damage and then extra max. I have not seen that come out on builds much, but that's a really interesting angle for basically 300% increased damage from your staff. Lets you take a lot of other sources, like you can just invest a lot in dot multi after that and get a lot of value. But yeah, again, you will not see this played by much in 3.25, but it's getting a lot of buffs in 3.26, and it's a very comfortable archetype. I have played this kind of thing in a private league, and it was really nice. I played that with the Occultist recoup strategy and stuff as well. Yeah, recommend this. That would be, again, this tier list isn't necessarily ordered, though I have kind of gone down in like how well performing things were just on the ladder in terms of what the top players did. So you see at the end of this list, you've got some like level 80 builds. Still, with the buffs in mind, this may be a much stronger starter than some of the other options. You might find people starting Cold or Chaos Dot perform better now than people starting like Gladiator Bleed. It all depends on how much these buffs are going to do for those skills, and it also depends on your luck. When you're playing SSF in Ruthless, work with what you drop. As I said, you know, if you get offered the Mirror Arrow Trans Gems in lab, if you somehow get both of those before finding the thing you're looking for, go and play Mirror Arrow. Honestly, like you're in a good spot. Or if you drop certain supports or auras or stuff that can give you direction. Hopefully this list has given you some ideas. Again, I'd say the main thing you want to do if you're unsure about what to play is to go on Pwnage yourself and browse around, get inspiration, take the time machine down, even go down to like the early first few days and see what people are getting into maps with comfortably enough. You know, we've got some blue gear here, +1 wand, always love to see that kind of thing. Look at what the trees people are doing. Another really cool thing you can do, you can go on, if I need to take off Bane. We go into everyone's builds, so we can go on to like literally just like day 3. And you can just do things like the passive tree heat map and then pick like, okay, if I'm playing Gladiator, what were Gladiators doing? Maybe we want to select a skill as well. So like maybe you're, well look, like, oh yeah, obviously most people are using double strike because you start with double strike. But maybe I want to particularly look at people playing Spectral Shield Throw, and then you get a rough skeleton. So the redder and hotter things are, the more people are taking those skills, and you can use that as like a little bit of a guide. All in all, I think there's going to be a lot of good options. Hopefully there's a good bit of build variety. I do expect to see a lot of Mama builds at the top of the ladder again. It's an amazing build that's going to survive. I expect to see a lot of slammers. I expect to see a lot of gladiators again, because you see there's a reason why the 20% of people, you know, and you get later on like it thins out a little bit, but still gladiator is just dominant for a very good reason. It's defensively overtuned. Poor Ruthless. But among this as well, we might see a few more elementalists due to the changes they got and due to the buffs other spells got, but I don't think I'm not recommending elementalists here as much. Definitely not recommending golems in Ruthless. My god, I feel bad for all the people who got excited about that. But yeah, definitely going to see, we're going to see some more slammers, going to see Mama Guardians. But like damage over time builds, I think are going to have a bit of a renaissance as well, whether it's cold or Phys or chaos damage. They all look like they're more promising. They've always been decent starters before. They've just been power crept by things like Gladiator coming out with like ridiculous defenses. If you can overcome the defensive downsides of playing a self-cast build where you have to manage the fact that you're stopping to cast spells manually and you don't have the defenses maybe you get from other builds, if you can overcome that, very strong builds, very strong options. Otherwise, if you can't, you're going to be looking at gladiators, you're going to be looking at your chieftain builds, guardian defenses. There's a reason why the top 4 in SSF here are all very defensively minded ascendancies. I mean, Guardian gets the free auras as well. Technically, it gets the relics, which is really good offensively. Gladiator has some very good offensive stuff as well. War of Attrition is a very good node as well, as is Aggravated Bleeding. But these guys all have very good defenses. So if you're completely in doubt of what to play, if you're going to just pick a random ascendancy and go for it and see what you decide to do on the fly, if you want to let Jesus take the wheel, I definitely recommend playing something more defensively minded than something that's like, there's a reason why you see I mean, the reason why you see Champion so low is because it sucks. But Assassin, even though Assassin has like a really cool all damage can poison node, you don't see as many Assassin builds break into Ruthless. Mapping and stuff are doing very well, just because Assassin defenses suck. You have to know what you're doing. There was a build here, to be fair, so like in week 1, I skipped over Control here. Control's build here is really cool. This is the kind of thing I would highlight if I was just looking at really interesting builds we've seen for Ruthless, because this is a Viper Strike build, taking all damage can poison, opportunistic. He hasn't done actually Uber Lab on this build yet, interesting to note, but the build looks very strong. Dual wield, Viper Strike, I think yeah, you get less attack speed. Yeah, each weapon hits 72 when turns into less damage, so he's like double hitting with Viper Strike like that. With the Dojo's damning, nice find. Mortal Flesh, very nice find. It's very good stuff in SSF here. Temporal Change, using Flicker Strike to move around and then Viper Strike to like stab at things. Not even using Viper Strike of the Mamba. Yeah, very interesting build here. Just not something I would put on a recommended build list. So I don't mean to skip over it as a sense of like I think it's bad. It's just not something I'd recommend everyone else playing, because it's very like this is the build of someone who like they very clearly know exactly what they're doing in terms of, you know, they got the Tribal Fury melee splash here, you know, and then fucking they've planned this out. And it's not the easiest to emulate kind of thing. Also, they got the Dojo's damning on day 1. That is crazy. Using that, they're not even using it right away. They've just got Temporal Chains of Blasphemy. But that's a really good find early. Yeah, builds like this are definitely worth looking at for inspiration, but not necessarily like I'm not going to put it in like a list of like guides and stuff. But yeah, look at the stuff yourself. Also look at if you really want to play something tanky, especially if you're playing hardcore, look at hardcore. Otherwise, hardcore options as well. You'll see a lot of like good things here. Again, Gladiator dominant, Chieftain, Guardian dominant again. We see Juggernaut a bit lower down. We see a lot more Necromancers, a few more Hierophants as well. Totem builds in hardcore can be very nice. It's just nice to like have things doing the damage for you. Got minor. Oh, he's not on. Yeah, the top build here. This guy is not totems. This guy is Cold Snap. Wintertide brand. This is Cold Dot. Oh, look at that! Look at the cold damage over time. Fucking, is this Cold Dot? Or is this hit based? I don't even know what I'm looking at. This is the fun about looking at PoE Ninja. I don't even know what I'm looking at yet. What is this guy using? No, he's Cold Dot. He's taking Season of Ice. But yeah, Cold Dot, tell me about Hydrophant taking minimum endurance charges, Arcane Surge, which is getting buffed. Another buff to casters. Non-damaging, yeah, more spell damage from that. And then Mind Over Matter as a big defense. So it's like a Mana Man cold damage build. Maybe I should have taken this as the Cold Dot example rather than the... But I feel like a Cultist is like really smooth as well. Hierophant definitely has like a decent angle into like generic caster stuff as well, though. Don't sleep on Hierophant. Free endurance charges minimum is just really... That's just 12% less damage taken overall mostly. Doesn't apply to chaos damage. Minimum power charges though, can do some cool things with that as well in some builds. Right, that's it. I'm gonna this video is long enough already. Looked at some builds. Hopefully that gives you some inspiration. Less than 24 hours until the league starts. So hopefully, if you don't have an idea of what to play yet, I hope you can find out what you want to play soon. If you know what you want to play, maybe let me know in the comments below. We can get some more ideas, get some more excitement going for the new Ruthless League. Otherwise, I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.